Welcome back to this session. We will be talking about the database cloud service. This is the version for Americas. There's another for the time zone for Europe, given my colleague Robert Patchin. In this case, I will be here with you today, and I just wanted to present myself very quickly. My name is Adrian Galindo. I'm based in Mexico City, right now at the Oracle office here in the beautiful Mexico City. You have my email, my LinkedIn contact in case you want to contact me directly. I'm in this team of the database cloud services and database cloud product management. I am focused on the security solutions. So I'm working with the people inside Oracle that have all this knowledge and all this product management for database solutions. We develop security training, a workshop for 2 days for our partners. So if you are in this Oracle Partner Network, contact your local Alliance and Channels manager so you can be part of these sessions also. I'm studying for the CCISP certification, which is the golden certification for security solutions. I like all the blockchain world. I am very enthusiastic about it. And I work basically on this team to deliver workshop, roadshows, assisting POCs, and working with our partners and customers to help them to use the technology of Oracle the best possible. So, what do we have for today? I have some news for you. Uh, Basically, it's three main news focused on what we have and we won't have on the future. So, we will cover this in the OCI Classic, this first version of the cloud. We won't have available the Oracle database virtual machine. I will talk a little bit about it. We have more options for the database cloud service on the OCI. We have a new region located on London, in Europe. And the last news that I have for you today is that we won't have available some of the releases on the cloud. I will explain why and where. And that we have also some improvements on the OCI and OCI Classic console. So the first news, okay, OCI and OCI Classic. As you maybe know, we have this cloud service, public cloud for database, and at the beginning we started with an public cloud service that we now we call the Classic because it was the first version. And the news that we have today is that we don't have available the specific option to create an Oracle Database Cloud service in a virtual image. This means that as any service that we have on the cloud, you just go into the console, you click next, 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 select some parameters, some sizes and versions, and at the end you have a service working, running with the database. For this database cloud service, we had two flavors. The first one is creating an EAS image without the database running. This means that you go through this process to creating the instance, assign CPU, memory, and disk, but at the end, you don't have the database running. You just have a directory with the files ready to for you to go into the console and make the installation. This was good way to control the database cloud service working on this EAS layer, and it has this licensing included with the service. For some projects, it could be good because it was do-it-yourself, build the database from the Oracle home. So you have the binaries and you can go in there and create all the service. This was not used very often by the customers. So now with the OCI Classic is not available anymore. And you also with the change that we have with the accounts, at the beginning we have this meter and metered metrics. So you have pricing for each of the services that you were running. If any of our customers had some of these accounts running, it will have there for a while. But for the new accounts, all the accounts that were created on this year, all the are created with this universal credit metric scheme, so it's not available there anymore. It's not a big loss. I mean, it's just a different approach. If you want to go to create a database cloud service without the service, like so, when you have to make the installation by yourself because your project needed in that way, you still have the option to create your ES image and go inside and create the database. So that's the first change. Also, it's very important for you to know that 12.2 and 18C is not available on these accounts. The next news is we don't have available for the future the versions 11.2 and 12.2 on the cloud anymore, starting on January. Why is this reasoning? Well, the first is that 11G is now 10 years old, so it's approaching to his end of life. It will continue with the normal support policies, but the idea, the invitation is for all customers to go to 12 or 18. So the that's the main idea for 11 not available anymore. For 12.2, it's not a final version of the release 2, so it will continue with the new versions that we have from this year and so on. So, for instance, 18C, which is the database that we have now, in fact is 12.2.02. So from the future, starting from January, we will have available the 12.1 and the 18. So basically, the idea is to invite all the customers to leave behind the 11 and go to 12, 1, and 18C, and so on. The tooling and all the database that you already have running will continue until 2020, 2 years more. But if you have a new system starting on January, you will only have the option to choose 12.1 or 18. In the next year, you will have 19 and such. We will check how is this versioning changing and evolutioning on the time. But basically, that's the idea. You have all the information for these changes on the my Oracle support note. That's the number, and you can check it. How is this advancing? So I have a couple of slides just to explain why we have this change and what's the reasoning for having this new release model. So we had on the previous versions, we have 9, 10, 11, 12. We have the 11.1, and then some years later, the 11.2. We had the same for 12 and such. The idea for this is that we remove that release versioning, and we will go now with the year. So starting on this year, the database that we have available for the new features is the 18C. For next year, it will be the 19C and such. However, this doesn't mean that it will change the database and we will have a new version every year. No, it's just to remove these first and second releases because sometimes cause confusion with the customers because they say, I prefer to wait for the second release before migrating because it will be more stable, it will be patched, it will be tested. But in fact, all these releases that we had in the previous years, every release was a final revision. It was tested, was patched. So to avoid all this confusion, what we decided starting this year is to have a yearly release. So you will have to you will continue working with the database. You have to continue applying patches and such, but you will have less fewer of these one-off patches because we will go advancing. And here's the explanation, clarification, and how is this will be working. So if you check now, we have the 18C ready to release, to use on the cloud, and it's part of the 12.2 family. So all the support, the lifetime support, will continue as is explained here. But what we changed is starting with this 18C, we won't have at the on the short term and 13, for instance. We will jump from this 12.201 to 18. But and we will continue with this version several years and then an extended support. But for these annual releases, we continue 2 years with patchings after the succeeding release is available. So would you have basically 3 years with this version, the years of the release and 2 years more, and then you will have all this time frame to move or update to the next. But the interesting part here is that every year or every release with the yearly number is not a new version, it's just an upgrade. So this is the explanation. We have this format in 3 digits. The first is the year, then the update, and then the revision. So in this moment, we have the 18.10, which is basically the release that we have in production. Then we will have the first update for 18.2, and then we'll have the revisions. So it's important to know that every yearly release will have these updates and revisions. But it's important to know that this version also reflects the patch level. A release update revision is only a patch, it's not a database upgrade. So we can have 18.1, 18.2, maybe 19.1, 19.2, but it's not a database upgrade. It's just a new, it's just a patch. And when we have this upgrade is when we jump from this final revision, this final patch, to the next one. On the background, underneath this 18.2, maybe 19.1, is still a database 12.2, but with a patch and upgrade according with the year.